Maria Shilaos from the KSL Greenhouse. Today we're at the USU Botanical Center in the demonstration gardens with Sheriden Hansen. Sheriden, we all know how popular tomatoes are in Utah, and I always thought I'd seen all the tomatoes till this morning.
Oh no.
Looking at some of your different varieties. There are hundreds, right?
Hundreds, thousands, yeah.
Thousands of tomato varieties.
Yeah.
Now you've selected some dwarf tomatoes
Yes.
for this section.
Yes.
Tell us about these.
These are really interesting. These are kind of new and kind of the hottest trend when it comes to tomatoes. These are called micro dwarf tomatoes, and you can also just get dwarf tomatoes. So you can see kind of the difference. This is a dwarf and this is a micro dwarf tomato. And it just means that they're very small. They're adapted for containers, but containers are a little more difficult to grow in than in ground. We're growing in ground in raised beds, which is essentially a big container, but a little bit easier to manage. So you can see they're really quite tight with the foliage, and we have a ton of fruit. We've been harvesting this, so you can't really see the total amount of fruit that we have, but it has been just covered and loaded with fruit, very prolific. And on these dwarf varieties, you can see sometimes the fruits are a little bit bigger. That's almost like slicing size that you could use. And you can see the space that would take up. This is great for if you have a patio garden or a balcony garden. You just need full sun. So you've got to have 6 to 8 hours of full sun. You've got to manage the water well. You've got to manage the nutrients well. But you can grow these very, very easily.
It's so important, Sheriden, for those folks who just don't have the space.
Right.
They don't have the space to grow, but they still really want those fresh vegetables. And just to see the proliferation of the tomatoes on here is just amazing.
It's amazing. And I have some at home. I planted about 30 of them at home, and I feed my neighborhood with tomatoes, with these little tomatoes, because there's so many. Let's go look at some others, because like you said, there's thousands. My life goal is to get through all of them, but I don't know if I'm going to make it. So let's go look at these. We have larger sized tomatoes growing in ground, and we focused this year on paste tomatoes. So paste tomatoes typically have less seeds in them, and they can be used beautifully in a paste or a sauce is what they're used for. So this one is called Amish Paste, and you can see it has this delicate kind of lace leaf to it. It doesn't have those hefty tomato leaves. It's just really kind of light and airy. And the fruit is heart-shaped. So you can kind of see the fruit right there. It's heart-shaped, and you can see the size of it. It's massive, just huge fruit. And when it colors, it will turn red like this, and that will be what we use. So this is Amish Paste used for sauces, but you can also slice and eat these. They are fabulous tomatoes just for slicing and eating as well.
Beautiful.
I know, aren't they just pretty? So that's Amish Paste. This one is Costulodo Genovese. This is one of my most favorite tomatoes. I've been growing this one for years, and it is also a sauce or paste tomato, but can easily be used as a fresh eating tomato as well. You can see that it's kind of a flattened, compressed round tomato, and it's got what we call fluting. So it's got these bumps on the outside, or ruffles sometimes they're referred to. So gorgeous tomato, an old variety that has been used throughout history in Southern Europe and all over the world. So
it's like a mini pumpkin.
It does, doesn't it? It's just kind of fun. Let's look at a couple others. This one is called Goldman's Italian American, and this one is really fun. This one's not quite very large. Let's see if we can find a bigger one. So it also has that kind of ruffle to it, and then it's kind of pear-shaped as well. So this one was brought to New York from Italy, and it landed at the Goldman's Italian store in New York, and they grew it, they sold it, and it was named for their store. So Goldman's Italian was the name of the store, and then they had become American at that point. So Goldman's Italian American. So I love it when they have a story. It just kind of pulls on my heartstrings, and it gives it a history and a base and something for me to relate to while I'm slicing it and eating it, right? Yeah. So
appreciation for history.
For sure. So another excellent tomato variety there. This next one, this one is called Too Tasty. I'm going to see if I can find some ripe ones out here. This one has a beautiful two-toned color to it. So you can see how it starts on the vine, and it gets like this purple blush that develops where the sun hits the fruit. And then as it ripens, that purple kind of fades away a little bit and we end up with red on the bottom. This is more like a grape tomato, fresh eating tomato, fantastic, really prolific, heavy producer. I've been really impressed with it. And I'm not a person that grows a ton of hybrids. I tend to like the heirlooms more because they have that backstory and that history. But this is a fantastic tomato, and it just goes to show you that some of those hybrids are fantastic when it comes to production, when it comes to taste and yield. So not something to be missed in the garden.
Is this one more sweet or more tart?
It is more sweet, and these ones are close to ripe, but may not be fully ripe. I wait for them to turn all the way red. We want that darker red color there, but they're a little bit more sweet, like one of those ones you'd pop in your mouth while you're out in the garden and just eat away. So excellent tomato.
Love it. I love the variety of tomatoes. I want people to know that the reason you have a demonstration garden is that so people can come and check out these things and pick different things to plant in their yards. And that variety of different plants really does help us with our environment.
It does. So biodiversity is important. We want to have a diverse type of crop situation for the insects to visit, for pollinators to come to, for us to eat from. It makes the environment so much better. So it's really important that we look at some of the things that maybe we don't typically grow and try something new. Plus, it just gets you excited about the garden again. So,
well, thanks for getting us excited. And again, we are at the USU Botanical Center, the demonstration gardens. You can come visit. You're open 7 days a week. Is that correct?
7 days a week from
check it out.
dawn to dusk. Yep, you can come anytime. So.
Great place to bring the kids as well. And make sure you check us out for the KSL Greenhouse Saturday mornings, 8 to 11.